Hello and welcome. My name is Nate Cap, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Outcasting, where I'm sharing bits of science towards freedom. And today I'd like to share with you something very sacred and very special that I refer to as the Spire Path. And the idea behind the Spire Path is nothing new. The way that I'm going to explain this path is with the symbol known as the point within a circle or the circle dot and the spiral. And I'm going to bring them together and combine them so that way this helps us understand the connection between the circle and the dot. And this is all about morality. This is all about the measurement of morality, how we can understand morality a little easier by having imagery or symbols, because symbols are simple, right? So if you haven't got a chance to listen to my last 19 episodes, I definitely recommend going back and listening to those in order. Definitely dealing with the circle dot and natural law, because those are prerequisites to this show and to future shows, okay? So this point within a circle, in conjunction with the spiral, is to help us understand the path, okay? The path that, or the journey that we have in life, where we are going in search for truth, in search for answers, right? So the path to truth is not a straight line, because if it was, we would just, go beamline to the truth and get it over with. But because it's it's an unfoldment, it's a spiral. This is what this is symbolic of our path. Because if you think about a spiral staircase, just think about a closed off, like concrete spiral staircase where you're going around the stairs. You can't really see around the bend, right? Well, that's symbolic of not really knowing where this path is going to take you, but to have, faith that, because you're aligned to what is correct, what is right, that it's going to unveil more to you. More will be revealed as you go around that bend. So, this spire path is about understanding morality and understanding the path of the circle being the aimless path, right? And then the middle path being the point within the circle, okay? And another way to understand this spire path would be akin to the spiritual path, okay? So spiritual is very important. The word spiritual is very important because when broken down into two compound words, you have spire and you have ritual, okay? Spire means spiral, okay? And then ritual means it's about the performance with something or taking part in something, right? So it's about taking part within the spiral or taking part with the spiral. So that's what we are doing. If we are on the path, the spiral path, the unfolding path, we are taking part in the spiral. So we're all part of this ritual, whether we know that or not. Some of us just haven't started that path yet. We're still at the beginning of that path. We're still at the circle, the aimless circle, not really knowing which direction to go in life. So I want you to think about the circle with the point in the middle, and then as you can see, the spiral, okay? And the spiral can show us forward direction or it can show us backward direction. So it can show us spiraling inward or spiraling outward, right? And that's really important, okay? Because if we think about the circle, the aimless circle, the circle represents many things, all right? And just keep in mind that symbols are neither good and they're not bad, all right? They're not evil. They're not inherently evil. They're not inherently good. They just are. Symbols help us understand ourselves. They help us understand how to connect to nature. They help us understand how to connect to and well, really the knowledge that makes sense. Okay, and you'll see what I mean as I go through this episode. So the circle represents ignorance. It represents aimless. It represents darkness. It represents the void of knowledge, the void of light, the void of a point. That's why people who are lost will say, well, life is pointless, right? Or what is the point? And that's because people who don't have the point or haven't searched for the point or who haven't gone on the journey, the unfoldment to the point, that's why their life is pointless. It's not true in nature. Their life really isn't pointless. They just haven't gone on the journey to find the point. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, what is it about this aimless circle that is very interesting to us? Well, I mean, a lot of things, but like something that is very important to recognize is that we are born into darkness. We're born into ignorance. And this circle also represents sin, okay? Because the word sin actually translates to missing the mark or to be void of point. So we're born missing the mark. We're born into darkness, right? We're born not knowing. And therefore, we are not having an understanding of life because we haven't really gone through life. We haven't really gone on the path, right? So this is not bad. It's not bad to start in sin. It's not bad to start in darkness. But it is when we continue to stay aimless in life with no point, aimless in life, this is where we get into a lot of trouble because we are making decisions, with our free will. We're making decisions that are not based on the aim, for the point, for purpose, for meaning. Okay? So if we're going through life aimlessly, this means that we have free will, but we haven't learned the law. We haven't learned what is determined, right? So what is determined? The point is determined because it's fixed. Well, what else is fixed? Law. Universal law is fixed. Natural law is fixed. Uppercase L laws of the universe are fixed, right? So this, especially natural law, because natural law is dealing with, or universal law is dealing with the consequences of behavior. So you could call it consequentialism, right? Now, we have the ability to align our free will to the point. Well, how do we do that? Well, it's all about our behavior. How do we behave in nature? How do we behave in reality? Are we acting good by not causing harm or not initiating violence or not supporting violence? Are we acting that way? Well, if we are, then we are, the vortex or the spiral is going towards the center. right? This is love. This is uh, this is the act of good behavior, to align to good behavior. Now, what happens if we are acting in bad behavior, where we are causing harm, where we are initiating violence, where we are supporting violent people that do violent things? Well, we're acting in a way, we're transgressing against natural law. That means going away from natural law. We're going backwards. We're stagnating. We are, um, you know, devolving, right? Because evolving is going towards the point, right? Because it's a forward motion. Forwardness is evolution, right? Consciousness is moving forward. But if we're moving backwards or stagnating, we're not growing, right? We're staying aimless in life. So if we're moving away, if we're transgressing against natural law, we're moving away from the point. We're moving away from love. We're moving away from what is good, from what is correct, what is right. And so when you think about to be in control, right, is to um, move towards control, right? To move inward to control inward, right? This is when the vortex is going in. Now, if the vortex is going away or out, then what does that mean? It means moving out of control. Well, what does out of control mean? It means chaos, right? And chaos is aligned with the aimless. Chaos is aligned with what is incorrect. Chaos is a decision, an action that does violate other people's rights. So government is chaos, right? External government is chaos. Internal government is control, to take control, to have in control, to be in control over ego, because ego is out of control. Ego is external control, right? So anything out here in the extant is external control if it's moving away from natural law. Because remember, natural law is fixed. Natural law is the point. Natural law is the crux, right? So if we are living in the circle, if we're living in the vortex going out of control, this is what leads to moral relativism. And it also leads to, selfishness, right? Because selfishness is ego out of control, right? All about me, right? Me, me, me. This is also about social Darwinism. Social Darwinism is about, the most ruthless gets to rule over others. See, exterior control, right? This is about only understanding the exoteric, which is the outer, right? But the esoteric is about the inner. It's about going within. It's about understanding the self within, right? So it's an alignment to know thyself. The exoteric is about understanding the outer layer of things. It's about materialism, right? Materialism is the physical understanding, the physical world, but spiritualism is the levitation that rises our consciousness in a forward direction, so it's towards the point, right? But of course, this whole symbol, this whole concept of the Spire Path is a spiritual path, right? It is the Spire ritual. So this is about understanding, even in alchemy, right? Alchemy is the circle and the dot. That is the symbol of alchemy. So what does that mean? Well, we're starting in the circle, the base consciousness or base metals, dark metals. We're moving from darkness to light, to gold, because it's about turning base metals into gold, right? Look at the point as a goal, right? The point is a goal. Why? Well, because you're moving from the aimless to a point. You're trying to get to something. Because the circle is nothing, the point is something. So you're trying to get from nothing to something. That's the goal, right? Think about when you're in a conversation. You're trying to get to the point, trying to get to that point, because the point is a focus. It's a focal point. To move away from the point, to move in, if the vortex is going away from the point, that means either the people listening are missing the point, or you're getting away from the point. You're losing people. You're losing people in a conversation. Hopefully I'm not losing anybody here. But this information is, when we understand the point and the circle, then we understand that if we start out in ignorance of, let's say, the creator, right? Well, if we don't have knowledge of the creator, how are we going to understand that if there is one or not? So it's about understanding that the point, the fixed point, is also the creator. Because, think about it. If someone says life is pointless, or there's no such thing, there's no point to life, right? Well, that's just because you haven't found the point. If you say there is no such thing as truth or freedom, that's because you haven't found the truth, or you haven't gone on the search for truth. If you say that there is no such thing as a creator, or no such thing as, an all-intelligent being, or, God. People hate that word, but it's because you haven't gone in search for that. Whatever that is, however you want to call it, right? So the goal of this idea, this concept, this ancient concept, okay, is that it is about helping us use a symbol to help guide us towards truth, which is essentially what generates freedom. And by generating freedom, you are helping reduce slavery, because the circle is slavery. The point is freedom. The aim is freedom, right? So if we're starting out in a circle of sin, suffering, then what is the best thing to do? To heal suffering is to move towards the point, to heal. So the point can be healing, right? That's what it's about. So that being said, just because, we're talking about, this circle being a decision, being free will to, do whatever you want. But if you don't have direction, if you don't have a point, if you don't have an aim or a middle path, a deterministic component to the circle, if the circle is missing the dot, it's just free will. Do whatever you want, no consequences, right? And that's an illusion. That's moral relativism. Now, I just want to read this. I'm going to finish off the show with this one quote by Richard Witherill. And Richard Witherill is one of the best authors out there for ethics and natural law, okay? Morality, objective morality. His book, Right is Might. I definitely recommend getting that book. Now, his quote says, "When making decisions, the average person fails to ask himself what is right. Instead, he asks himself what would please him. He thinks with his pride, his prejudices, his pocketbook. When selfishness, ambition is the basic ingredient of a decision, he gets a wrong answer leading to a wrong result. Despite the wrongness of that result, he may set out to prove his decision was right. That's moral relativism, right? Making a wrong a right, or trying to make a wrong a right. And the last part, that explains how a person gets into much of his trouble, because to generate a wrong is to receive wrong. Okay? So to cause wrong, to cause a wrongdoing, to generate disharmony is to attract disharmony. That's why we get into trouble. That's, the law of karma, right? It's the same thing. So we have to understand that to be aimless is to live in this ideology of moral relativism. And this leads to slavery. This is what generates suffering in our world, because we're not aligned to what is correct, what is right. So that being said, hopefully that has inspired you, and hopefully you understand the spiral more, the Spire Path. And also, if you'd like to learn more about any of the topics on these shows, you can go to cubbyhole.com, start at podcast number 1, work your way forward. And then also you can follow me on Telegram under Outcasting with Nate Cap, or Nate. And I post at least a few times a week, definitely post every Friday for the new episode. And that being said, I will definitely be getting into some very critical topics in the next few episodes. So definitely stay tuned, and I will see you guys again soon.